Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome to the Black Ops Cold War beta. Initially, I wanted to do a review of the beta today, which I suppose I could still do considering I streamed the game for 12 hours yesterday. But with the level cap increase coming, along with a few new perks, new weapons, and new game modes, I figure I should probably put the review on the back burner for right now, and instead discuss something that could fundamentally change the entire face of Black Ops Cold War as we know it going forward. So as you guys saw from the title and the thumbnail, the microtransaction system for Black Ops Cold War has apparently been leaked, and it was leaked from the beta itself. This did not happen to everybody, but for some people, when they booted up the game, the Cold War message of the day looked like this, which may seem pretty normal, but take a closer look. Look at the very bottom of your screen. Here we see Purchase Crate, Inventory, Crate Bundle, and then of course Play Enclosed. This is not the only bugged interface that appears for certain players either, because here we see another message of the day that shows Store, Register, Black Market, Item Store, and Reserves. Now, most of you already know this, but reserves are what they called supply drops back in Black Ops 4, and Black Market is the fancy name for the Black Ops 4 in-game shop. With all these names being in the beta, it appears that these systems could be returning for Black Ops Cold War, because while yes, they were the terms that were used in Black Ops 4, and maybe because of that they're simply leftover assets from Black Ops 4, it's important to note that these are completely integrated within their own user interface within Black Ops Cold War. If we go back to Modern Warfare 2019 and go back to that game's beta here for a second, let's go ahead and take a look at this. I was apparently one of the first people in the world to get this bug, but as you guys can see, for leveling up in the Modern Warfare beta, I unlocked something called a loot box common supply drop. At the time, most people started freaking out, thinking that supply drops were going to be coming to Modern Warfare, but some people said that this may just be a leftover asset from Infinite Warfare, so we should wait and see how things play out. Now, obviously, when Modern Warfare 2019 released, we had no supply drops, right? So most people chalked up what I saw in the beta to simply being a bug that just showed some old assets from Infinite Warfare, but all of those people would be completely wrong. Not a lot of people talk about this because apparently it isn't widely known, but supply drops were in fact going to be a thing in Modern Warfare 2019. They were designed by Infinity Ward and they were going to be a staple feature in the game, but they were cut from Modern Warfare shortly before launch. Now you may be asking, well, Nero, how do you know this? Well, I know this because data miners were able to dig around within the Modern Warfare game files and find these images right here, which are still, by the way, in the Modern Warfare game files. We see a common supply drop, and we also see a rare supply drop, and there's a bunch of other references to supply drops within the Modern Warfare game files. This means that they were 100% intended to be in the game. They planned for supply drops to be a core feature within Modern Warfare, but for some reason, shortly before launch, they decided to scrap the entire concept and give us the system that we know today. Now, going back to Black Ops Cold War here, we see yet again things like reserves, crates, purchase crates, and the black market all within the beta itself. Now, what this means is supply drops, or at least a variation of supply drops, could be coming to Black Ops Cold War at launch. It is worth noting that Treyarch does have a history of having the absolute worst microtransaction models in the Call of Duty franchise. If you look at Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4 and how they handled their DLC versus games like Modern Warfare Remastered, Call of Duty World War II, Infinite Warfare, and Modern Warfare, you'll see that Treyarch typically does lock a lot of their content behind supply drops, including DLC weapons that end up being wildly overpowered, like the VMP in Black Ops 4. We already know that Black Ops Cold War will have free post-launch maps and that the game will feature a battle pass just like Modern Warfare, and in fact, Treyarch has already pretty much confirmed that basically all of the DLC systems from Modern Warfare are going to be returning for Cold War, which is good news, I suppose, but what about supply drops here? Why are we seeing supply drops in the Cold War beta? It is possible, I should say it is possible that these are leftover assets, but right now, we don't know for sure. The sad truth is, we're going to have to wait until next weekend when the Cold War beta releases for PC, because when that happens, data miners are going to be able to dig around within the game files of the beta and possibly discover more about this supply drop system. Even if they go through and they find absolutely nothing about supply drops within the game files, even then, we're not completely out of the woods. We're going to still have to wait for launch, because once the game comes out officially, where it's the entire game, that's when the data miners are really going to be able to see exactly what's in the game files and whether or not supply drops are going to be returning. It goes without saying, but I suppose I should say it anyway, supply drops are fucking stupid, and they have no place in gaming, let alone the Call of Duty franchise. Under no circumstance do I think they should return to Call of Duty. In-game and post-launch rewards for players should be directly earnable, not locked behind a slot machine. The entire gaming industry is moving away from loot boxes, and if Call of Duty decided to bring them back, that could mean dire things for gaming as a whole. We could see the second coming of loot boxes, where these slot machines just start flooding all games across all genres, and absolutely nobody wants that. It's a horrible system. There is no reason why it should return, even with the arguments I see on Reddit from people saying that they would prefer to have earnable supply drops over $20 skins in the item shop. Now, to those people, I say, you're hammering in a nail with a sledgehammer, right? And that's to say that what you're suggesting is completely overkill. Instead of reverting to randomized loot boxes that are stuffed with filler garbage that nobody wants, why not argue and suggest that the skins in the shop stop being $20 to begin with? If people stopped purchasing these overpriced things in Modern Warfare, then the prices would eventually go down. There's no reason why supply drops should return just because you think the stuff in the Modern Warfare item shop is overpriced. Instead, you should be campaigning for those items to be directly earnable in-game, right? Why is it that in-game content every single year is always boring and lame, and then the stuff that you have to pay for in the shop is a lot more interesting? Shouldn't it be the other way around? Shouldn't they have a bunch of extra filler things in the shop, whereas the stuff that we get for actually buying the game and playing the game and achieving things within the game, shouldn't that stuff be a lot better than the stuff we have to pay for? I mean, it just makes so much sense, but for some reason, people are like, yeah, bring back supply drops. I don't want to pay $20 for my anime skin. It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't make any sense. I do believe that those people have good intentions, but I think they're a bit short-sighted to suggest that we should go back to the Black Ops 3 or Black Ops 4 way of doing things, and that's a very real possibility with what we see here in the beta. I do not want supply drops to return. Pretty much every Call of Duty fan does not want supply drops to return, and unfortunately, we're going to have to wait until weekend 2 of the beta to see what the real story is and how things are going to play out. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that pretty much does it for this video here today. I'll be streaming more of the beta over on my Twitch channel. I streamed it for 12 hours, like I said yesterday, and man, I pretty much lost my voice, so you can probably tell from this video here. But yeah, there's a lot to say about the game. Some good, a lot of bad, and yeah, there will be a review, but I wanted to wait for a couple of days of the beta to be out just to kind of gauge where the game is going to be going, as well as get a better feel for the game once we have that level cap increase, and therefore have new perks and then new weapons to play around with, and give us more time to unlock more attachments. So a review of the beta is coming, but for right now, I figured I should discuss the fact that supply drops are apparently going to be a thing in Black Ops Cold War, because that's some pretty freaking big news when you really think about it. But ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for you guys here in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, consider leaving it a like, leave your thoughts and feedback down in the comments, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.